Absolutely, because the NFL.
All right, we are off and rolling here on a what the heck day it is?
Tuesday.
What the heck day it is? What the heck day is it? Right?
Yes, it is
You
Tuesday.
can tell I'm a little flustered, thrown off. This day, I mean, it's a busy day. By the way, when you're busy, that's a good thing.
What time did you get here today?
Got here at 10. Started technically working about 8:30, 8:45-ish in that range.
How many meetings you been to today?
2 in person. Oh, no, 1 in person and then 2 conference calls, which is always fun. And then
Okay, worse. In-person meetings, Zoom meetings, or conference calls?
I hate conference calls, at least the Zoom
Correct
meetings.
answer. Correct answer is conference calls. Conference calls are the absolute worst. Love our company. Love our company. Love our company. But, dude, when I have to do those conference calls and it lasts about 40, anything over 40 minutes with a conference call, I can't front. I start doodling, drawing, working all the other stuff that I have to do. Like, I cut commercials sometimes when I'm on conference calls.
Very nice.
Just mute myself and just come back. Oh, they haven't said anything that's important to me. Cut some more commercials. Conference calls. Despised it.
I listen the whole time. I value our company and everything that they say. I take notes.
But the cool
Employee
thing
of the month right here.
The cool thing about our conference calls and our Google Meet stuff,
here we go.
They always have the audio version if you dare to go back and listen. I've never done it, though.
So, look, Andy says too many conference calls. The Big Ten commissioner. Too many conference calls. Yes. The repetitive, especially with why? No, we can't do this. We're how many minutes into this? My apologies. Let's get the train back on the tracks. How about that? But hope everyone's had a great day. Excited for today's show. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. It's Tuesday, so he'll be joining us later on in the program as well, talking all things NFL playoffs. Excited to catch up with him. Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch. We don't talk a lot of Ohio State basketball on here, but with so much off the court that is surrounding the Ohio State Buckeyes on the hardwood, it's kind of hard not to be a little curious what's going on in old Columbus with the Buckeyes, because there's rumor. I mean, obviously the Buckeyes have been listed as one of the final 3 schools for Bronny James. I mean, could we see that show come to town, or at least relatively close to town, of course? So we'll talk about that with Adam Jardy, plus Chris Holtman's name being brought up for a couple big job openings. I always laugh at Ohio State Buckeye basketball fans, because I'm always wondering, what's the identity of that program? We're trying to push him out. Buckeye fans want to push him out, and here are these big time programs that are like, hey, we kind of like this Chris Holtman dude. So we shall see. We'll get to that with Adam Jardy coming up later on in the show. See, a lot of people are agreeing about these conference calls. Brian Fraley says, especially when they could have been handled in an email.
Oh,
no. See, Brian, that's the thing. A lot of times we'll get the long email just so they could read the email to us in the conference call and then just elaborate on that even more.
Because the thing about meetings, especially in-person meetings, they may have an agenda. They get to it. We're in and out the meeting, or it starts into a great creative session where you're coming up with ideas and stuff like that. So I don't really mind the in-person meetings, because 9 times out of 10, something good comes out of them. It's those conference calls, man. It's just like, dude, you have an agenda. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't involve me. So why am I even on here?
I love our meetings. I love our company. Go Alpha Media.
What he
I
said.
love you. So there's that. The pre-meeting meeting. The pre-meeting meeting. I love you, Alpha Media.
Let's meet about the meeting.
Yeah. Trey Green, how are you doing, sir? He says, who day and one away to the Super Bowl.
They are.
Yes. I'm going to talk about top villains in sports, by the way. Eli Apple, speaking of the Buckeyes.
Hold my beer.
I mean, Eli Apple's that perfect. He is a guy that you love him if he's on your team, but when he's not on your team, you can't stand him. But you need those types of dudes in your team. You can't win at a high level if you don't have those kind of guys in basketball. The tyrants, like that, just the guys that you can't stand, the Patrick Beverleys, of the world. Like, for instance, the Lakers. I mean, they hated Patrick Beverley. He hated them. Now he's a Laker. Him and Westbrook, they're cool. So
BFFs.
Yep. Let's see. Yep, not reading that one. People just relax. I haven't even said anything to get you all fired up. Just relax. It's a Tuesday. These meetings, though. No, we're done. We're done. All right. So yesterday we talked a lot about the Bengals, their win, of course, over the Bills. And the thing is that's interesting is when you have this little situation right now where Joe Burrow on the Bengals, Josh Allen on the Bills, Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs. It pains me to say this, but it's officially those top three quarterbacks and everybody else, at least for the headlines and the conversation that we're having right now. I think the top three quarterbacks in the NFL are those three, no particular order, but some people like to, hey, we have to have an order.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, the best quarterback in the NFL is clearly Patrick Mahomes. That's not a stir the pot comment. I just thought that was something we all agreed upon. I don't think this isn't even opinion. There has not been a quarterback that has come into the league and has had more success in his first 4 or 5 years than Patrick Mahomes has. And that is me also sitting back as a Bengals hater, looking at Joe Burrow and saying, yeah, but his start's pretty dang impressive as well. He just doesn't have all the hardware to support it. Joe Burrow's start to his career is very similar to Patrick Mahomes, except it doesn't have the hardware. It doesn't have the MVPs, the Super Bowl MVPs, the Super Bowl. He has been to a Super Bowl, obviously, in year 2. And we saw, just how big of a deal he was even as a rookie. But, right now, as we've seen, what's very interesting about Joe Burrow is he's not labeled outside of the 513 area or the Bengals fans here in the 937. Anyone outside of this little area over here has never once said Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the National Football League. But I will say it is interesting because Joe Burrow has no problem beating Josh Allen. He clearly has no issue beating Patrick Mahomes. And at least that's what I'm hearing a lot throughout these shows throughout the day and on social media. And maybe this is the hater in me, but I hate, this is the one thing I hate that we do. And I can't tell if I hate it just because it fits my narrative or not. I don't know. I'll just be honest. I hate the quarterback head-to-head records. I hate when we do that. I hate when we say this quarterback beat this quarterback because honestly, the only thing that the quarterback is facing is the opposing team's defense.
Right.
If you want to talk about Joe Burrow has Patrick Mahomes' number, I look at it as the Bengals defense, and Zach Taylor has Patrick Mahomes' number. That's a thing. This idea that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes because he wins every time they go head-to-head, where was that talk when Baker Mayfield was beating Joe Burrow every time? Where was that talk when the Browns were beating Joe Burrow up until finally about a month and a half ago?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the narrative coming from the Bengals side. So why are we doing that narrative here? The bottom line is, and I've had a Bengals fan reach out and say, what's wrong with being the second or third best quarterback in the NFL? And I said, exactly.
True that.
But it was interesting earlier today on ESPN's Get Up. There was a conversation, or not Get Up, on First Take. Stephen A. Smith was talking about Patrick Mahomes and how much pressure he is facing this coming up weekend, because if he loses to Joe Burrow for what would be the fourth time in a row, the second straight time in the AFC Championship game, take a listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say regarding what pressure could potentially be facing Patrick Mahomes if he loses on Sunday.
It's about Mahomes because and I'm going to make this very, very simple. As great as we talk about him, knowing how phenomenal he is, we cannot escape the fact that the reigning defending AFC champions are quarterbacked by a guy named Joe Burrow, who has beaten Patrick Mahomes every single time he's faced him. You lose again to Patrick. You win again against Patrick Mahomes. Back-to-back AFC championship games, you take him out.
Conversation.
Okay?
Changes.
The conversation changes about Mahomes. We now have to talk about Burrow instead of Mahomes in that regard. We know Mahomes is great, and we know he's phenomenal. But we're going to talk about him a little differently because it ain't him and everybody else anymore. It'll be Burrow and everybody else because he took both him and Allen out in the same playoffs year.
And just like that, Bengals fans hated Stephen A., love Stephen A. Where are you at with that take? I understand wholeheartedly where he's coming from because based on how we evaluate sports and how these narratives and how these sports talk conversations roll, he's not wrong. It will lead to that if the Bengals beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on Sunday. Joe Burrow, unless he goes over there and kicks the beat up ankle of Patrick Mahomes, that Joe Burrow ain't doing nothing to Patrick Mahomes. But That's not how this works, although I would love it to because that would help my narrative. But it's not how it works. Your thoughts on Stephen A's takeaway of the narrative that would shift in favor of Joe Burrow and the Bengals if they win on Sunday?
Well, you know exactly where I am. I always say this when these type of conversations come up. This ain't tennis, man. This is not tennis. This is a team sport. I bring it up in basketball, definitely bring it up in football. This head-to-head thing gets overblown to the 10th power. But we have the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. That was, the era when we were growing up and everything. So you have those two guys. Everybody believed that Peyton Manning was more talented, but Tom Brady had the head-to-head victories. So what do you do with that? It's a very difficult situation because I believe that Patrick Mahomes is more talented than Joe Burrow, but currently Joe Burrow is the quarterback of the team that is beating his team. And if we're going to give the quarterbacks all the praise and glory when they do win games, and then all the falter when they lose the games, I think we have to remain consistent. So if the Bengals are able to go into Kansas City and win again, it does shift the narrative, and I think rightfully so.
518-1410, 518-1410. If you want to jump in the conversation, look, I'm not here to have a trolling conversation. I want to have a real conversation because I feel like if the roles were reversed, if the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow were the Chiefs, as far as Joe Burrow starting out with being a two-time MVP, I'm basically awarding it to Patrick Mahomes already. It's basically his, right? I got this. Nick, you're on hold, sir. You're on hold. We'll get to you in a second. If the roles are reversed and Joe Burrow and the Bengals just couldn't find a way to beat Patrick Mahomes, you guys would not accept the narrative that you're pushing is that, well, you all say Patrick's the best, but Joe Burrow's the best because he beats him all the time. It's the Bengals that are, in my opinion, it's the Bengals that are beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's the Bengals that seem to have the Chiefs number. It's a matchup thing, right? How many times did we say that, or I hear that, and I agreed with it, that I never once believed Baker was better than Joe Burrow because he had Burrow's number. He never had Burrow's number. The Browns had, it's the defense of the Browns. You talk about the mismatch issues, the pass rush of the Browns and the solid secondary of the Browns. That's how you stop an elite level quarterback like a Joe Burrow, a Patrick Mahomes, or a Josh Allen. The Browns present mismatch issues and matchup and scheme issues. That's what the Bengals present for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have they have a very, very good secondary. They have an excellent pass rush, solid linebacker play, and they also have an offense that, although Burrow does a great job of facilitating the football, they have a run game to also kind of eat some clock and keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. It's coaching. It's the team as a whole. It's that defense. Joe Burrow's great. I'm not trying to say he's not, but this idea that Joe Burrow is stopping Patrick Mahomes, that's not the case, in my opinion. I mean, for instance, in the AFC title game last year, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs punched the Bengals in the mouth in that first half.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow didn't do a thing. No one said Patrick Mahomes stopped Joe Burrow in the first half. No, the Bengals didn't play well in the first half. That switch was flipped at halftime. They made whatever adjustments they needed to make for those who believe halftime adjustments are made. And then it was a completely second. Joe Burrow didn't go out there and start defending Patrick Mahomes. I'm not a fan of that narrative. When the Browns were constantly beating the Bengals, I never once said, well, Jacoby Brissett's better than Joe Burrow. We got to stop this narrative. Patrick Mahomes is the best. I'm willing to meet you halfway and say that the second, I think that especially if he wins on Sunday, it's Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. However, one matchup between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, does that just totally, in your opinion, knock off Josh Allen?
I had Joe Burrow ahead of Josh Allen before the season.
Okay.
I think I like Josh Allen. I like his athletic ability. But it was just always like I kind of agree with the caller yesterday saying like he doesn't see the game the same way as a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes. He has a cannon for an arm, and that cannon for an arm works damn good. But I don't think he throws guys open. I don't think he anticipates throws. I think he just rockets it in there because he's got a rocket of an arm and he can do that. And I had Burrow ahead of him.
So Nick Allison says Joe Burrow is more talented because he could throw from the pocket, doesn't need to scramble. For one, well, but see, that narrative doesn't exist. Like come draft time, we're talking so much about these, versatile quarterbacks, these running quarterbacks. Teams used to shy away from that. So now those are the quarterbacks that are thriving the most. Now, what I love about the NFL is that although we like to fall in love with trends, there's not just one way to do it.
Right.
I mean, look at what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, when he's healthy, they win a lot of football games, and he's not a stand in the pocket and just dink and dunk, right? Joe Burrow, by the way, he had 31. He had more rushing yards this past Sunday than this idea that Joe Burrow is just a pocket guy. He'll make plays when he needs to. I don't think I agree with that, Nick. I don't think I agree with that. I don't think that's what makes him the best, mainly because here's my second point of all of this. I'm going to use a coaching example here. Use the Dayton Flyers and Archie Miller from back in the time. So when Archie was having all that success with Dayton, I said, for me, what I need to see from a coach is multiple recruiting cycles. It's one thing if you have one class and you dominate with that class, can you bring in a class behind it to sustain that success? We didn't get to see whether Archie could do that or not, because the second that class kind of went through, he didn't bail. He did what he was supposed to. He went to Indiana. He failed there. It did not work out there, but Archie did but I'm like, man, if Archie was for real, and he followed up that Scoochie and that Kendall Pollard and that group, if he followed that with another incoming class and then also made those deep tournament runs and dominated the A-10, that's how you have something special, a guy that's rinse, cycle, repeat. And my rule in the NFL with quarterbacks is I'm not willing to give you all of your flowers yet until I see what you do after your rookie contract. Like when you've been paid and weapons are taken away from you, can you elevate the roster around you? Dak Prescott, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. He had every weapon imaginable to him. When you think of all the weapons he had around at wide receiver, offensive line, and running back, and he doesn't have a whole hell of a lot to show for it, to be honest. He got paid, and this goes back to my narrative of, hey, once you got to take advantage of that rookie contract deal, because once a quarterback gets paid, that window shuts significantly, or at least it becomes a lot tighter to fit through. I need to see who Joe Burrow is without, and he has more weapons than anyone in the NFL. Okay, this led to me and you almost ending this show 2 weeks ago, so I hate going here, but Patrick Mahomes has weapons, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have the weapons that he had back when he was winning that first MVP and winning the Super Bowl. This team is talented. That's why they're where they're at, but this isn't the deepest team that Patrick Mahomes has played on, and every year they're getting a little more. They're losing more and more. Joe Burrow has every weapon you can imagine right now. So Joe Burrow's great. The Bengals are doing great things, but I need to see who Joe Burrow is when they're losing. Look at Stephon Diggs ready to punch out Josh Allen. I need to see how this team handles adversity. And no, I don't mean starting 1-3 at the beginning of the season. I'm talking like getting knocked out in the playoffs, having expectations and not living up to it. That's what I need to see first. But no doubt, as much of a hater as I am, Joe Burrow is the number 2 quarterback in the NFL to me right now. I cannot say he's better than Patrick Mahomes, but at the same time, I'm not willing to give Burrow all these flowers yet, because I've seen Patrick Mahomes play at a high level, lose his top, in my opinion, his top talent, Tyreek Hill, and then lose that talent, watch that receiver go and elevate the Dolphins. And then it had zero impact on Patrick Mahomes, who threw for 50 touchdowns or whatever it was. That's insane. He didn't have T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, or he didn't have T. Higgins and Boyd and Jamar Chase and all that. Yes, he has the number 1 tight end, which I was wrong on that. You're right. He's a tight end on paper, but they use him very versatile with how they utilize him. I get that he has
use him at quarterback too.
But if you're going to bring exactly, and running back and everything else that they did. But if you look at the Chiefs and you want to move their tight end to wide receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster still their second best option, and T. Higgins, the number 1 wide receivers there. I just need to see Joe Burrow lose some weapons, and then I'll be a believer. Because when I saw him lose Jamar Chase, I saw his numbers plummet. Until he played the Steelers. I saw Burrow's numbers plummet. Now, they kept winning. They also played nobody during that stretch. I'm done rambling. All I'm saying is I'm going to say Burrow's number 2 right now because he's earned it. He's played like it. But to label you permanently, I need to see how you battle through a couple roster changes and not on your rookie contract. That's all I need to see.
So when did Patrick Mahomes become the number 1 quarterback? This year, he became your number 1?
He also had a Super Bowl and an MVP under his belt, the 5th straight AFC Championship appearance. But the Super Bowl would definitely help solidify that. I mean, the Bengals fans are yelling at me on social media saying he's definitely better than Patrick Mahomes. He's beat him. I'm like, he has no hardware. He has no hardware. He has nothing to kind of back it. I'm
not going to say that he's better than Patrick Mahomes, but if they're able to go to Kansas City, win again, and then ultimately go on and raise the Lombardi Trophy, then I think we need to have a serious conversation. Is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the NFL? But until then, I don't think you can. I don't think you have enough on the resume to do so.
Fair.
And I was going to say, I guess it matters who you play. I guess it really don't matter who you play. I mean, it's the NFL, it's the Super Bowl. Whoever you play, you play. If you win, you win, fair and square. And the thing about Patrick Mahomes is he has this.
Yes.
And so does Joe Burrow. But then on Patrick Mahomes' level, he has the athleticism to get out the pocket and make plays outside the pocket and pick up first downs and run for big yards. So he kind of has that, not Lamar Jackson athleticism outside the pocket, but very, very good. Now Joe Burrow has good. We won't go very good because he can move. He is a mobile quarterback. That's part of the reason why he got recruited by Urban Meyer to come to Ohio State, because
he moved real well. He moved to LSU he moved. Sorry, my bad.
Well, it's a Buckeye, always a Buckeye. But I think the thing that separates them, not separates them, the thing that keeps them connected is their brain.
Yep.
Their brain is the thing that wows me, is because they're processing information very quickly and going with the ball where it needs to go on time. A lot of quarterbacks don't do that. Dak Prescott is supposed to do that, but he didn't do that on Sunday. His mind was just all over the place and throwing it to the other team. So those are the type of things that separate quarterbacks, because look, man, they're all these guys in the top 10 are elite. They're talented, but can they keep their cool under pressure and still process the information? Are they able to figure out what the defense is in and have a counter for that? Check the line. Hey, he's coming. He's not, because he's going to be blitzing, and then make sure the wide receivers on the same page, get them the ball. It's the mind. It's the mind games that those two dudes are next level at. And I think there's a big drop off between, honestly, I think there's a nice drop off between number one, Mahomes, and number two, Joe Burrow. But then after Joe Burrow, I think there's a nice little drop off between them two to Josh Allen and the rest of the guys out there.
So the reason I could get on with what you're saying is you've at least been consistent. You didn't have Josh Allen there and then just take him off because he lost this past weekend. That's what a lot of people have done, even national media, that I'm like, you said it was Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, everybody else with Burrow just on the outside. Now they have a bad game. You're allowed to have a bad game. You could have a bad game. And again, it's always, what have you done for me?
Yes.
Lately.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with Dak. Monday night, looked like they won the Super Bowl. Come Sunday around 9:00, looked like they lost the Super Bowl.
So, but it's just interesting to me to use that. When Stephen A. Smith talked about the matchup, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be two-time MVP, a Super Bowl MVP. If he loses on Sunday, loses on Sunday, I don't think it's one of those where Joe Burrow surpasses him. I just think that right now, especially with Joe Burrow on this rookie deal, on the most talented team, they're probably going to lose T. Higgins in the offseason. I've listened to multiple shows today. I didn't realize that they were that close to already having to make that kind of decision. I forgot it's 3 years on the second round pick. I didn't realize that. I forgot about that. So T. Higgins, they have to make a decision on him. They got to make a decision on some of these key defensive players too. I don't want to get in that conversation again, but like I said, it's a lot easier to be Joe Burrow than it is any other quarterback in the NFL right now, because he has an embarrassment of riches. You think I'm ripping you guys? I'm not. That's a product of the Cincinnati Bengals front office, who they can't do no wrong. It's annoying, actually.
I was actually reading this article about guys in the NFL, especially position players. It's better to be a second round guy, because if you ball out, you're able to capitalize sooner. So if you're a late first round guy, you're locked into that with that 4 years. But the second round, you're going to get less money because you're a second round. But if you ball out, you can get into that contract a lot sooner than those other guys. So yeah, it's a win-win for T. Higgins, because he's about to get paid by somebody, be it the Falcons, be it the Bengals, name your team. He's about to catch a check.
So it's a 4-year deal, but he's eligible for an extension after this year. So my apologies on that. That was Jacob Lee North on YouTube who jumped in. T. Higgins is on the 4-year deal, but you're eligible. I don't know if that's right either.
It's 3 years.
I think it's 3 years. I'm not saying you're wrong, Jacob. You're probably right, but anyways, we'll look that up.
Like we always say, give them the contract sooner rather than later, because when you wait, you pay more.
Yep. That's why anyone who waited to pay the receiver before Tyreek Hill went and got $30 million a year last year. That's another reason Adams was like, maybe now's a good time to bolt. Maybe now I can take advantage of that. Nick Allison says, easy to hate when your team ain't great. I feel like I've had a fair conversation today. We've had a fair conversation. I'm not going to get into it with you about that. You don't have to like what I say. That's fine. Jordan Maccabee said Burrow has never – what up, Maccabee? Burrow has never scored more than 27 points in a playoff game. His defense carries him. Burrow's still number 2 in the league to me. But what I like about that, there are quarterbacks who have all the talent around them and still can't elevate. Like we talked about Dak. Dak played well with weapons around him, but he didn't elevate them to that next level. Burrow is at least maximizing his time with these guys now, at least on the field. Now that needs to continue. Look, there's a good chance they win on Sunday, especially if Patrick Mahomes' ankles is beat up, is what they say. But I tell you what, that music means we should have gone to break a little bit ago. Nick, I know you're on hold. We're going to get to you on the other side. Give us a call, 518-1410. Is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the NFL? I know y'all believe so, but y'all got to do a lot of work to convince me. I'm just not there yet. 518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be partly cloudy, a high near 40. Tonight's going to be cloudy with heavy snow after midnight, a low near 28. And tomorrow is going to be cloudy with a wintry mix, a high near 38. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is officially live in Ohio, right in time for the NFL playoffs. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports, anytime and anywhere, right here in Ohio with DraftKings. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with promo code WING1410 and bet $5 or more will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. Now, just because my Pittsburgh Steelers didn't make the playoffs doesn't mean I shouldn't try to make some money with some same-game parlays and player props. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers can use promo code WING1410 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WING1410. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and up. Physically present in Ohio. Valid one offer per first-time depositor who have not already redeemed $200 in free bets via pre-launch offer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued as bonus bets. Eligibility restrictions apply. See dkng.co/OH for terms.
Sometimes the best time to prune trees is when they're dormant or with no leaves on them. For ISA certified arborists, it helps them see what branches may need to be pruned or removed. Dormant season pruning can also help lessen problems associated with insects and diseases and help create structurally stronger trees that can better handle heavy wet snows or ice buildup. Contact an ISA certified arborist to get the best professional advice on keeping your trees healthy and safe. Go to treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need presentations and brochures printed, and they have to be perfect.
Your bounded presentations, brochures with the finest folds, and more will be done right every time. That's our Print Big promise. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order of $50 or more, plus 20% back via store bonus. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 2/25. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details.
The Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny.
And we should know, and I assume you saw this, but it's too late to take back your pick.
I can tell you I saw that because I was the one that texted that to you.
Oh, I missed that. I can confirm you texted that to me, and I wrote back, damn, that would be huge. This was an hour and a half ago, in my defense. I've been busy.
Listen and subscribe to The Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny, wherever you listen to podcasts.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine against sludge and wear with a synthetic oil change. O'Reilly Auto Parts has 5 parts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $35.95. Plus, get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people can recommend the supplies you need, including a filter, funnel, shop towels, drain pans, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms while supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Dayton area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can find options that fit your budget, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, like when I hold the door for someone. Sure, it may be weird if I don't time it right and they're a little too far away and now they're running. And we're both asking ourselves, is it worth it to run instead of just, letting them open their own door?
But still, it's the right thing to do. So get options based on your needs with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch covers the Ohio State Buckeyes on the hardwood, college basketball. We'll talk a little Ohio State Buckeyes basketball with Adam Jardy coming up, mainly because, well, LeBron James, his son Bronny, has the Buckeyes listed in his final three options as far as colleges are concerned. When he wraps up his senior year here with Sierra Canyon, he will make his announcement. He'll make his decision. Ohio State, along with USC and Oregon, are all on his list of final possibilities. But LeBron's come out basically in a recent quote saying that, hey, he's talented enough to play anywhere. All he has to do is pick up the phone. And I'm like, is he good enough to play anywhere, or is it that you are going to pick up the phone and a lot of ADs will be like, yes, LeBron, anything you say, LeBron, here comes a scholarship, LeBron. That's really what it comes down to. But we'll talk about that with Adam Jardy coming up here in just a few moments from the Columbus Dispatch. Always appreciate his time. Chris Holtman and company got a win over Iowa over the weekend, so it did end that 5-game losing streak. And for those of you out there, I already see it coming. We're not ignoring the Dayton Flyers basketball program. Norm Greavy, every Wednesday, 5 to 6. Him and I, we hang out. We chop it up. All UD hoops solely. Thursday nights, talking out loud, our UD hoops. He'll be on with us on Thursday. Just relax. We just talk a little Buckeye. Buckeye hoops. By the way, William Holt, the kicker from Fairmont, he's going to UD, by the way.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of the kickers around here because I think it's fascinating to me when I see high schoolers who could kick at a high level, especially as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm just like,
I can't believe he missed the first extra point of the game, dude. It's like clockwork. It was something on DraftKings that if he made it or missed it, I forget how much money he would have made if he actually missed it. I should have bet that he missed it because, of course, he did.
So they on DraftKings they did it on FanDuel, but DraftKings, that's interesting that they had that on there. We're getting to the Super Bowl. I can't wait because
the prop bets is going to be insane. Insane.
And we've tried to hype that up in years past. But I'm like, I don't know why we can't bet on anything anyways around here. Wink, wink. But now we can.
Oh, it's going down. It's going down. Funny story. OJ Mayo. Everybody remembers OJ Mayo. Yep. He went to high school in West Virginia, and then he came to Cincinnati. His recruiting story was so crazy because nobody knew if he was going to even be eligible to play in high school, in college basketball because of everything that went on in his high school. I remember he called up the USC staff and said, yeah, I'm coming, and just showed up in LA. And they had to work everything out, scholarship wise, paperwork wise. He didn't get recruited by them. He never went on to a recruiting visit. He just said, yeah, I'm coming to USC. And they said, okay.
Well, so interestingly enough, I remember me and my friends used to go to state tournament every year, and we would always we were in high school. And when we'd go stay in Columbus that weekend, because a friend of mine, his dad and all of his friends from high school, they'd go spend the weekend for state tournament, and then we'd all go and tailgate and all that fun stuff. But to sit in the student section, to be able to get a good seat for all these games, we would always bring a T-shirt of every color to match any student section that was down there at the shot. Well, when that school played, they had Bill Walker too.
Yeah.
USC didn't recruit OJ Mayo, but USC, Tim Floyd, I don't know if you remember that name or not. He was at UTEP for a while. He coached the Bulls back in the day. We're all sitting in the student section, and I turn around, and I'm just like a junior or whatever. And I look around, I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And sure enough, he was USC's coach at that time, and he was there recruiting Bill Walker. So he wasn't recruiting Mayo. I'm sure he was looking at Mayo too, but it was as a kid, that was so random. But he wasn't sitting in the student section, by the way. It's just the seats behind the student section is where he was sitting. He couldn't get a better seat than that. Come on, OHSAA, but nonetheless.
Bill Walker ended up going to
Kansas State. Yeah, Kansas State. He went there, and then did he go to the NBA at all?
Yeah, he played in the NBA for a minute. Not a long minute, but longer than me and you.
We opened up the show. Just lots of talks in some of the national shows about Joe Burrow. If he beats Patrick Mahomes on Sunday, is he the number one quarterback in the NFL? And I said, well, he won't be beating Patrick Mahomes on Sunday. The Bengals could be beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on Sunday. I still don't think we're there yet. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's a 2-time MVP, a Super Bowl winner, a Super Bowl MVP, 5 straight trips to the AFC Championship game. And the only thing that he's done wrong in his time since joining the NFL is he hasn't found a way to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. So I don't think that puts Burrow past him. But, I mean, my gosh, as a Bengals fan reached out to me a while back and said, well, what's wrong with being the second-best quarterback? I'm like, nothing's wrong with being the second-best quarterback. But, the competitiveness in him, I get it. So some people are just, Lamar Shelley reaches out and he says, Mahomes got the opportunity to sit and learn behind Alex Smith. He also has the genius of Andy Reid and Bieniemy. Burrow was drafted by a rookie coach with a rookie coordinator. all valid. I don't know when I say valid, I don't know what point I'm not being rude. I don't know what's that's proving. Those are all facts.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I also, let me ask you, Patrick Mahomes, if he starts as a rookie, do you really think there's a gap between his rookie year and that second season? I'm not saying it didn't hurt to sit.
Well, his first start, he came about balling out of control.
So
because they clinched already. So what he's saying is absolutely right. He was in a great situation. But that's the thing about sports. Everybody's not going to fall into a great situation. Some guys fall into better situations than others. That's just how it works. And unfortunately, there's not an equal level playing field for every person that is drafted into sports. So we kind of almost have to stop doing that. It's almost like how when I was talking about when Justin Fields was going to get drafted by the Bears. Train wreck waiting to happen. Not for just Justin Fields, whomever was going to be drafted in that spot, they were going to fail because of everything around the Chicago Bears. A lame duck head coach, a lame duck GM. Then you're going to fail your first year as a quarterback, and then they're going to bring in a new coach, and you got to learn a new scheme and learn a whole new situation all over and over. So you're starting from the back of the tracks. Yes, absolutely, Patrick Mahomes had a leg up, but you can't sit here and tell me that he hasn't maximized that. He hasn't messed it up. There's been tons of guys who have been in great positions who have totally messed up their opportunity.
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And he hasn't messed it up.
Yeah, he
hasn't maximized it yet.
I mean, that is the mystery that we're all dealing with. Obviously, his first and only start was in that downpour in Chicago, where it was basically him and Justin Fields running the wing tee because they couldn't throw it and they could barely hand the ball off because of so much rain. So, all right, we chalked that up like we just don't know. Second game of the season, he's up, breaks his leg, and then he's out for the entire season. So he played 6 quarters this season. So that's why not only is Purdy a question mark, so is Trey Lance, because we just don't know. We haven't seen you play. We have no idea. So that's why I'm super intrigued to see what's going to happen with the 49ers going forward in camp, because is this going to be a true quarterback duel to see who wins the job, who's the best for the job? Because only thing that's happened to Purdy is he's played 4 years, started 4 years in college, while Trey Lance started a year and a half in college. Now Purdy has played we're on the 10 games. So he's got a leg up on Trey Lance, even though Trey Lance has been in the league an entire year ahead of him.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting decision that the Niners make. What's going to be even more interesting is if the Niners beat the Eagles on Sunday.
Oh, boy.
Garoppolo will be cleared to return by the Super Bowl, and then they got to make that decision, which, by the way, I don't think is that tough of a decision. But from a business standpoint, I mean, Garoppolo's been kind of yanked around mentally with that organization for some time. And he's led them to a Super Bowl. All they do is win when he's out there. I know he's not Kev Nash's cup of tea, but it's one of those where he did agree to come back and help them once Trey Lance went out injured, and then he leaves injured, and now it's all just a weird situation. But you know what? I don't feel sorry for teams who have an embarrassment of options and riches, but nonetheless. So they
got the best quarterback room in the NFL. I mean, from starter to back up to third string quarterback.
Well, we don't know who Lance is. Otherwise, I mean, I like the Bills with Allen to Keenum, but then again, Keenum, I don't know who Keenum is anymore. To be fair, I don't know. I really don't know. I was going to say I like Huntley's not the worst quarterback in the world,
right?
I don't mind that QB room with Lamar to Huntley. Who does have the best depth? I mean, maybe the Chiefs. We just watched Chad Henne.
90 yards.
Henne is the divisional. He's the divisional champion of the world as far as that's concerned. But nonetheless,
who is Tyrod Taylor backing up now? Because he came in for
he got his lung back. So
yeah. Is he backing up for Jacksonville?
That's a good question. I have no clue where Tyrod Taylor.
I just saw him. I promise to goodness.
He's back in the league. I remember him signing last offseason as far as that's concerned. But it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Trey Green says Joe Burrow is on his way to being the best. So there's that.
Giants. He's the backup for the Giants.
Okay. Doug Morgan says Mahomes is a bit better. Burrow has a lot to prove. He has 2 games to make one hell of an argument, but he has to play great, not just win.
That's fair.
Valid. That was one point made on Get Up earlier this morning. And it was that, if Joe Burrow and the Bengals go on to play great, beat the Chiefs and go on to win the Super Bowl, that Joe Burrow is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. Here's Marcus Spears in counter to that in regards to Burrow being the best quarterback in the NFL.
Do y'all know if Patrick Mahomes had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, he would throw for 7,000 yards a season? Are we seriously having this conversation? Look, Joe Burrow is phenomenal. All right, Joe Burrow is the guy that's making that thing go in Cincinnati. But let's not act like Patrick Mahomes ain't been the guy making the thing go in Kansas City. Let's not act like we haven't watched the first 6 years of his career be the best first 6 years that we've ever seen a quarterback play individually at the level he's played at. Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, and he also had Travis Kelce and threw 50 touchdowns, was a league MVP 50. And won a Super Bowl already. What are we talking about?
That was, again, by the way, big fan of Marcus Spears, not that comment. He's just one of my favorites to watch. But yes, I don't care if Joe Burrow wins Sunday and wins a Super Bowl this year. I still think it's going to take more than just that to go past Patrick Mahomes. But as I've said, if my team needs a quarterback and they can pick between Mahomes and Burrow, and I end up with any one of those two, I'm sleeping good. Like a babe. I'm sleeping like there's no shade at Burrow. I'm just saying he ain't better than Mahomes. That's all.
So let me ask you this: if let's say hypothetically, let's put a nice little round number on it. If Patrick Mahomes is a 10, what is Joe Burrow?
An 8.
So then so there's a 2-point. So Josh Allen, number 3, what is his rating?
I put him and Burrow at an 8, but I'm trying not to fall for the recency thing with the game because I want to say 7, but I'd take Burrow over Allen. But again, put Josh Allen on the Bengals with Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, that defense. I mean, when that defense was healthy all season, he was an MVP contender. When that defense took a hit and all his guys went out, excuses. Yep, I saw that's all. I mean, like I said, there's the gap.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think those dudes are very talented. I think they're just talented in different ways, especially Burrow and Mahomes are just talented in different ways, and their talent is their brain as opposed to their athleticism.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch, Bronny James to the Buckeyes. How likely is that? We'll talk about that next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Are you ready for tax season?
Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment, or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
Want to know how you can satisfy every comfort food craving? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a home-style bowl for only $4.59. You'll get a bowl of our mashed potatoes with breast strip bites, corn, and gravy, all topped off with shredded cheddar cheese to create a truly unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, plus the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow along. You could watch the show weekdays from 3 to 6. And then, of course, you can do it the old school way on the 1410 Wing AM dial.
Radio.
I don't know if that, I wonder how many people actually listen on that still, right?
I do.
According to we got a pretty good number of people listen. We always appreciate that nonetheless on the AM dial or streaming live at wingam.com. However you take in the show, we appreciate it nonetheless. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station, but we are also Dayton's radio home for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and not just football, but basketball. And tonight, the Ohio State Buckeyes coming off of that big game against Iowa over the weekend where they were able to finally put an end to that 5-game losing stretch. Of course, we think they might have lost something more towards the end. We'll get an update on that coming up here in a moment. Zed Key, of course. We'll get to that coming up here shortly. But excited to bring on our next guest. It's been a while since we've had him on, touching base on all things Ohio State hoops. Adam Jardy with the Columbus Dispatch covers the Ohio State Buckeyes. Adam, how are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Not too bad. Excited to have you on. We don't talk, as much Ohio State hoops as we should, of course. But now that football's kind of wrapping up, college football behind us a little bit, we kind of pick up. Adam, it's funny. Kevin and I have talked about, the perception of Ohio State basketball. It's actually been a very solid season for them. But when college football ends, that's when people start paying attention to the college basketball side. And unfortunately, as football ended, people picked up on college basketball during the Buckeyes' worst stretch of the season. Your overall takeaway for how they've performed up to this point, again, ending that 5-game losing skid over the weekend against Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you don't ever want to lose 5 in a row, regardless if it's when, some of your fan base is just starting to tune in, or beginning of the year, end of the year. It's a team that we knew going in that there would be bumps and there would be issues along the way. I mean, when you're playing 4 freshmen and you've got 3 transfers that are all playing significant roles, like there's a lot to figure out kind of on the fly. And, this bumps and problems like that were expected, but losing 5 in a row though, is rough. And it's an unprecedented losing streak. They're the first team in Ohio State history to lose 5 straight games, all by single digits. So it sort of tells you that they probably weren't that far off, but you just kind of stack a loss on a loss, and then it got some momentum. But it's still a team they're still learning a little bit about themselves. Their guys are still finding some roles, and I do think there's better basketball ahead of this team. It's going to be a fun one tonight. We'll see if they can build on the momentum from Iowa, but it's been kind of a choppy year, which is what I think you would probably expect with so much roster turnover.
Adam, you're going to hear this bell in the background. Kev, go ahead and hit it. All right, so we got that out of the way. Adam, we call that our excuse bell. So anytime we say anything that kind of resembles an excuse, we just ring it. I wanted Kev to get it out of the way so he didn't interrupt the conversation with the bell. How much are the struggle? Again, we know that it had a very talented class coming in, fresh, from a recruiting standpoint. Of course, they kind of complemented it with some pieces, in the transfer portal. But talk about how much youth has had an impact, not just with the success of the team, because we've seen a lot of flashes from Sense Ball and some of these other very young players, but then sometimes they look like a team that's playing a lot of freshmen. How much has youth played a role in the up and down season that we've seen this far?
It's played a role. I don't think it's the role. I mean, you look at, these ups and downs. You look at this losing streak. I mean, when they beat Iowa here on Saturday, 6th-year graduate, senior, and team captain Justice Suing came off the bench, and he's struggled at times this season, especially during this. I think he had back-to-back games with 4 turnovers during that losing streak, and so it's not just the freshman. You had a stretch there where the team just sort of the offense bogged down, things were not in sync, and it was kind of shared across the board. The only guy who's consistently been scoring has been Bryce Sensabaugh, who's been an unbelievably prolific and efficient freshman scorer for Ohio State. But you go down the list, and Zed Key was hurt for a little while, and had another injury the other night, and Isaac Likely left the team for 3 games while he was dealing with a personal situation back home, and then he comes back and he's working his way back in, and so you go down the list, and the only guy that I feel again is consistently giving them stuff lately has been Sensabaugh. So sure, you'd like your freshmen to maybe play more consistent and more steady, but you need more from your captains. You need more consistency from Justice Suing, and you need Zed Key to be healthy, and you need Isaac Likely to be the guy who averaged or scored more than 1,000 points, had 600 rebounds and 400 assists at Oklahoma State. That dude can play high-level basketball. He just hadn't really shown it at that level for Ohio State this season until the other night.
You brought up Zed Key. Will we see him on the court tonight?
I think so. My understanding was that was more of a scare and than anything serious. Scans and things were negative, and I would expect what role you see him in, because I don't know that I like him in this matchup. Illinois' bigs are mobile, and they like to shoot, and they can do a lot of things to kind of stretch the floor. And Zed's gotten better, but he's not great at that yet. And he's also coming off a shoulder injury and now a knee injury. I think he plays tonight. I don't know how much.
Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch, covers the Ohio State Buckeyes on the hardwood. Buckeyes, Illinois tonight, 7 o'clock, the tip-off, 6:15. Coverage begins right here on 1410 Wing AM. We talked about the freshmen, Adam, but the transfer portal additions from over the summer. It's Sean McNeil. We, a lot of fans here in the Miami Valley familiar with him. He, started out at Sinclair Community College. Of course, he killed it there before going to West Virginia. Yeah. Talk about the impact that he has had as, just being a 3-point weapon for them. And then the other addition, of course, Tanner Holden, who just killed it at Wright State, was a part of their NCAA tournament appearance and their first tournament win in program history last year. Big man on campus at Wright State, not so much at Ohio State, but talk about the impact that they've had on this season, and have they lived up to what the expectations were for them and their roles coming in?
I would say that Sean McNeil certainly has. He's a guy that's, consistently going out and getting them somewhere between 7 to 13 a night. And you can pretty much bank on that. He's going to knock down a 3 or 2, pretty much automatic from the line. He's added a little bit more off the dribble, so he's getting a few extra shots in. And that's, again, when you're talking about a team that struggled offensively for a little while, you've been able to lean on him a little bit, know you're going to get something from him consistently. Tanner's been interesting because he hasn't produced nearly to the level that he would at Wright State, and I don't think it was ever fair to expect that he would. I think I might have thought that he would have a little bit more of an offensive profile to this point. And he really just hasn't, and I think some of that's probably the guys that they've been feeding, and the guys who he's on the court with, they're not asking him to go out and lead the team in scoring. They've really talked to him a lot about his defense, and they need him to be able to use his length and athleticism to impact the game at that end. I think he's still kind of figuring out the high major level. He's taken some steps these last couple of games. If you kind of watch him possession by possession, I think you're seeing him get into some better spots, and you're seeing him looking a little more comfortable with the ball in his hands against this level of competition. But it was interesting in the preseason. Chris Coleman talked about Tanner basically being like another freshman, and that you would see better basketball from him theoretically come January, February. And so I think this is the time of year where you would expect to see some of these guys take a step forward. And I think they need Tanner to do that. And that's I think that's the challenge in front of him right now.
Coach Holtzman has to deal with the transfer portal just like every other coach out there. But when we see guys like Michi Johnson playing some good basketball in South Carolina, and then the guys like Tanner Holden kind of not living up to at least Justin and I expectation, because we're Wright State guys, so we're expecting him to come in there and drop 15 a night and everything like that, and it's more like 10 a night. I mean, more like 5 a night. So what is coach's feelings about the transfer portal? I mean, obviously it's a word that he has to deal with, but does he like it? Does he dislike it?
I mean, I don't know that there's any coach in America that would tell you that they absolutely love it. It's not just that you're going in there and trying to find guys, but you're trying to keep your guys from going in there. And so you're re-recruiting your roster on a yearly basis, which, I mean, these guys get paid handsomely. So there is that side to it, but that's not fun. And there's certainly a whole extra level of stress that comes with that, because building from year to year is more challenging than ever. You know, the way Ohio State is approaching it right now is they're trying to build through freshmen. They're trying to build through sort of the traditional way of bringing in guys and developing them and having them grow together, and then supplementing that where you need, you know, when you have a need via the portal. You know, Sean McNeil would not be at Ohio State if Malachi Branham hadn't gone one and done. Like
Don't remind me. We had this conversation yesterday.
So, like, if you think about when Malachi suddenly is that good and is gone, and you're sitting there in April having to plug a need, and it's too late to bring in a high school kid, that's where Ohio State really views the portal. Like, go out and find ways to sort of supplement where your roster is. There's pros and cons to that. I mean, you can look at, you know, Illinois and the way that they've built through the portal and some of the things that they've done, and, you know, getting a Terrence Shannon and what kind of impact he's made on that team this year. Ohio State hasn't really gone and targeted like let's bring in an impact guy in the portal who is going to lead us in scoring. It's been more, let's find guys that fit needs and hope that we can make them, you know, kind of assimilate into the roster. And they've had some success and some misses on that.
Adam, like, we know we know Ohio State, it's football school, and I hear people say that all the time, and at times I get annoyed with that, because I'm like, I know what you're trying to say, but this idea that the basketball program can't be successful because it's a football school, I've just never agreed with that. But with that being said, I find Ohio State basketball to be fascinating, because what is their identity? Not like this particular roster and this particular team, but what are the expectations for this team as far as, like, for football, it's championship or bust, or at least playoff or bust, you know, every year. Yeah. You know, Holtman's made the NCAA tournament every year that he's been here. You know, they win a ton of games. They great non-con, you know, resume. You know, obviously the struggles up and down in Big Ten. It's a great conference, of course. Your takeaway of what the job at Ohio State entails, and is Chris Holtmann living up to that expectation? And what is that expectation?
So do you want my thoughts on what the Ohio State job is, or what Gene Smith, the athletic director, has told me are the expectations? Because I think they're two different things.
I think we run to that here with Dayton Flyers fans. We know what the AD says the expectations are. They don't meet it, and then they move the goalposts a bit. So I'm curious. Yeah, we'll go with what you just said. Do both. I'm curious about both.
All right. Well, Gene Smith has told me on multiple occasions that his expectation is that Ohio State is consistently in the hunt. Whatever you want to, and that's certainly moving the goalpost. Consistently in the hunt, and is making a tournament run, you know, periodically, you know, every probably 2-3 years or what have you. So just going by like those measurements, Ohio State has, for the most part, been consistently in the hunt. Now, they have not won a championship under Chris Holtmann, and that's an issue. I mean, you're 6 years in and you don't have any hardware. They've come close. First year, they get swept by Penn State in the regular season. They win one of those, they got a Big Ten title. They lose to Illinois in overtime of the championship game of the Big Ten tournament in 2011. You win that game, you got a trophy. Like, those things would do a lot to change the perception right now. Certainly the fact they haven't made a tournament run is frustrating, and you would expect that by now they would have. It's just a rough. It's hard to really sit down and like evaluate it in just like a minute or two, because I do think it's really nuanced. I do think that, yeah, by now you would expect that this team would have made a second weekend, and they haven't. So certainly that's problematic. And honestly, it's always, to me, been a long shot they would make it this year just because of all the change. But I felt like this year and next year, the plan that they have, and agree with it, disagree with it, whatever, this is a really highly rated freshman class. They have another one coming in next year. The thought process has been those two classes together. Next year, they should be, there's no excuses. It's all out. You should be zeroing in on a special type of season. that doesn't help right now, and that doesn't make it any less frustrating right now. But you would think that by now, given the level of talent they've had, that they would have found a way to punch their way into a second weekend.
So, I mean, fans, social media, I mean, if you based off Twitter, I mean, everyone wants him out the door. But so you're saying the seat on a scale of 1 to 10, how warm is his seat, or is it even close to being warm?
I don't think it's warm at all.
I agree. I don't think so either.
No, I mean, I've gotten no indication from anybody whose opinion on this actually matters that there is any conversation along those lines right now. And I don't say that to be flippant, but like, there's a lot of people that have their hot takes on this situation. But again, they just signed him to a 3-year contract extension in the off season, which does have a significant financial bite on either side, whether he would want to leave or they would want him to leave. It's hard for me to picture Ohio State spending a lot of money to buy out their basketball coach. Like you said earlier, I mean, we know what Ohio State is known for. Does Ohio State really want to spend all that money to get rid of a successful coach and then have to spend money to pay a new coach even more money? Like, that doesn't really add up to me. Plus the fact that this plan all along, and Gene Smith has been on the record with this, that this is a freshman class, next year's freshman class, put it together, build it together. That should get you on a path to sustainable success. If that doesn't work out, another conversation, but we're not there yet. So no, I don't see there being any sort of real pressure on him other than I know they really want to win. And I know this 5-game losing streak was brutal for everybody involved. But no, I don't get any sense that there's any actual pressure on him.
Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch, covers the Buckeyes on the hardwood. Adam, just 2 more things, one from me, one from Kev. I'm glad, we agree about his seat not being warm for Holtmann at Ohio State. I don't think he's a top candidate anywhere, but you start, with the Texas job open and some other key jobs open, his name's floated around at some of those other jobs out there. How likely is that? Or is that just people who take names and just kind of throw them into the conversation point? Where are you with that? Is there a likelihood that, hey, we're talking about, is his seat warm? Could he be let go from Ohio State? Could he just chuck up the deuces and take another job elsewhere?
I mean, that's something that the only person that really knows the answer to that is Chris Holtmann. And I'm not saying that could or could not happen. It's been my getting to know Holtmann for the last 6 years. He seems like a guy that understands that, like, no matter what, you're going to have people that don't like the job you're doing. And so, sure, like there's a portion of this Ohio State fan base right now that is over it. And they don't even know what they want, but they want the next thing. And if you say, okay, you know what, I just want to find me a landing place, find me somewhere else to go, fresh set of expectations, start over. There's appeal to that. I think any of us would feel that for sure. But then when you go to that new place, odds are in a couple of years, you're going to be in the same spot you're in right now. So the question becomes, do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in the people you're recruiting? And do you believe in the program that you're putting together? And if you do, then I don't think you make that lateral move because you're just going to find yourself in the same spot. I do believe that they believe strongly in the people they're recruiting, the talent they're bringing in, and where things are headed. Whether it pans out, again, we won't know for another year or two here. But it's hard for me to picture, a lateral move right now, unless, we don't know what the rest of the season is going to look like. I mean, we can always leave that part open-ended as well. I mean, they're still more. They're not even, halfway through the Big Ten. And what could it look like? They had another 5-game losing streak and doom and gloom. Like, who knows? But right now, that's kind of how I see it.
All right. Bronny James just got named to the McDonald's All-American game. He lists Ohio State in his top 3. How good is he, and is he coming?
I don't think he's coming, and I don't think he should be a McDonald's All-American. Now, this is I'm not saying this to like generate a hot take or something like that.
I was just going to say, ring that. That's a hot bell. That's a hot take bell now. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm curious. I'm curious.
He's a good player. There's no doubt about it. He's a good player. But like EJ Liddell was not a McDonald's All-American, and he was a 2-time state champion in Illinois and back-to-back Illinois National Player of the Year, which is something that only happened like once before in the history of the state. There's been some darn good basketball played in Illinois. If EJ Liddell was not a McDonald's All-American, I don't know in what world Bronny James is a McDonald's All-American, because he's talented. He plays on a team with a bunch of bunch of superstar players. He does. I mean, he is,
you're right.
No doubt is he a talent, but he's not a guy that's going to come in and like average 20 a game in college, or he's not. Honestly, I don't know that he's a one and done. I think he's a very talented player who would be really fun in college for like 2 or 3 years. But I don't see him as a one and done. I don't see him as a McDonald's All-American. And I'm not trying to slight Bronny or the James family name. I don't see that.
Yeah, the only
very
time
good player.
I'm sorry.
He's a very good player. I understand why teams would be recruiting him, but I don't know that the hype matches the talent yet.
The only times that we get to see him play basketball is obviously on the high school level, and him playing in California. Those games not even coming on until 11 o'clock at night. So I'm not staying up until 11 p.m. to watch a high school dude play basketball. And then when you read the stat sheet the next day, it's like, oh, he had 10 points and 5 assists, which is great, better than I ever did in high school. But it's like, I'm just not sure, like, if he is the next chosen one.
Adam,
I think if he was, he'd be a 5-star recruit, and every college in America would be recruiting him.
Adam, you've given us a ton of time. Beyond appreciate it. Just one more question on this. Obviously, he's listed his final 3, and if you're Ohio State, you're not coming out and saying we don't want him. But I mean, they're obviously recruiting him. But is he at the top of their priority list? What's we know he's listed them, but I mean, are they bringing out all the stops to land Bronny James? Let me just put it that way.
I've not heard Bronny James's name mentioned since the fall until this most recent report from the LA Times. So that doesn't mean that they're not recruiting him, but this is such an atypical, unusual recruitment that I don't know that anybody firmly has a very good grasp on what is happening when it comes to him. I mean, sure, there's interest, and yes, he took an unofficial visit to Ohio State for the Notre Dame game, which happened to coincide with his dad being there for a bunch of things as well. So, it's not like he just said, hey, I want to go visit Ohio State. There were a lot of things that kind of went into it. At the moment, they don't have a roster spot for him next year. I mean, you assume someone's probably going to transfer because that's what happens, or Bryce Dunstable is going to go to the league because he's looking more and more like that. But at the moment, they don't have a spot for him, and he would come in and be rated behind like 3 or 4 guys that are already in Ohio State's backcourt. So I don't even know if it makes sense for Bronny to want to come to Ohio State, because he's not going to be guaranteed that he's going to play 25, 30 minutes a game and put up the numbers he's going to need to try to be a one and done. I don't know if that would happen for him at Ohio State.
All right, good stuff. Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch, covers the Buckeyes, who just gave us a lot of time. We beyond appreciate it. Interesting stuff today. We beyond appreciate you, Adam, and we'll talk soon. That way we don't have to go as long without talking, and we don't have to take up as much of your time. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
I hope I didn't make any of the advertisers mad. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Nike ain't calling us. It's all good.
Lot
to unpack.
That's what I thought. I follow a lot of Ohio State recruiting, and the thing is, Bronny doesn't get brought up often unless it's them initiating the headlines, like him releasing his top 3. But like Ohio, I don't see the coaches investing a ton of time sending someone over there. But if you're Ohio State, you can't decline him.
Right.
You can't turn him down. But yeah, I think Adam was right. This is unorthodox. This is not your typical recruitment as far as how this is being handled. But good stuff from Adam Jardy. Good
so
stuff.
much to unpack right there, man.
Yeah, a lot. That's for sure. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Adam Jardy, the Columbus Dispatch, talking all things Buckeye hoops. Ohio State, Illinois tonight, 7 o'clock the tip-off, 6:15 coverage begins right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What are the advantages of shopping at Chevrolet of Troy? Selection has never been better, with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority. We care about you, with thousands off MSRP, a full-service state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop today. 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletOfTroy.com.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. Tax season is here. We invite you to discover how we can make your tax filing experience easier. Our professional staff assures your return is accurate, with maximum use of legitimate deductions. Since our founding, we have been trusted because of our knowledge of the tax code and for standing behind your return if the IRS calls. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Need to update your furniture? Menards has the furniture you need in stock. Plus, you get a free rug. That's right. Buy any upholstered living room furniture at $299 or more and get a free 5x7 area rug. That's $149.99 in savings. Need a new chair? How about a sectional, a new recliner, or love seat? Buy one today, get a free rug. Hurry up. Get to Menards before they're gone. In-store only while supplies last.
Save big money at Menards.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
Have you ever thought about having a podiatric physician examine your feet? Doctors of Podiatric Medicine set broken bones, perform wound care, and remove bunions. Common health issues that they treat include ingrown or fungal nails, corns, warts, and skin problems like athlete's foot. Foot exams are easy and can prevent many foot problems. If you can't walk, work, or enjoy sports activities without pain, what are you waiting for? To find a podiatric physician who is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
People who suffer from arthritis are getting real pain relief with exciting biologic therapies at QC Kinetics.
The success rate is there, and there's no better way to treat yourself when it comes to dealing with pain.
Meet Tyler Vale, co-founder of QC Kinetics, who says they can't cure arthritis, but they can treat the pain.
If you think of the tide coming in and out on the beach and what it does, it erodes the sand, right? Can't stop the tide, but eventually when the sand or the beach gets bad enough, we backfill that beach with sand so that we get generations of enjoyment with that beach again. And the same thing happens with your knee or your shoulder or your hip or your back. We want to backfill the problems that have happened to this point. I'm not stopping the tide, so I'm not stopping the arthritis, but I want to get generations of enjoyment out of those joints again.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Learn more about how restorative biologic therapies can get you real and lasting joint pain relief.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Really good stuff from Adam Jardy with the Columbus Dispatch. The Bronny James thing is interesting. I know we touched on it lightly last week, but we just had Adam Jardy on with the Dispatch because I was kind of curious. I feel like when LeBron James was coming out of high school, obviously we knew he was going the NBA route, but can you imagine? And this is back when social media was just, I don't think it was a thing back then. I'm trying to remember when I got my first Facebook account, my Facebook accounts. Like when I signed up for my first social media account, if you will, Facebook, it was in high school. So I wasn't in high school when Bronny, I was in middle school. So no, there was no social media back when Bronny was coming out, but I remember he was on every magazine cover. Mm-hmm. He was on, and this is back when, ESPN, they didn't cover stuff or they covered stuff differently than they do now. And they didn't have as much, they didn't have all these 85 different ESPN channels. They were very selective with the content that they got to go out and do. They went out and started doing high school basketball because of LeBron James as far as carrying those games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would have been a circus following his recruitment coming out of high school into college. It's silent.
Because he wasn't going.
So, but with Bronny, like, there's not a whole lot of noise. There's not a whole lot of chatter. I'm not saying the kid's not good. He's a 4-star kid, but it's like, so there's this quote from LeBron James that I don't know how it helped me decipher this, because it's LeBron James. He's polarizing. People love to hate him. So they're going to hear this or read this and they're going to spin it how they want. I want to make sure I'm not doing that. You're the calmer of the heads between us. So LeBron James this was a quote on LeBron James on his son Bronny's James college choice after the final three, after his list of schools came out. He goes, I think Bronny can go to any college he wants to. That's awesome. Supportive dad. Cool. This is where I was like, I'm not sure. I think Bronny can go to any college he wants to. All I have to do is pick up the phone. He goes, if Bronny says he wants to go there, he's good enough. I don't have a problem with the quote. When I read it in a way that I know, because we're conditioned this way because of social media and us doing the show. I read it in a way that I know people are going to take that and run with it. Or are they right? The only line in that I didn't care for is all I have to do is pick up the phone. My thing is if Bronny's as good as what you and everyone says he is,
they're calling
you're turning your phone off. You're like, guys, enough.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that quote.
The fact of the matter is, Bronny can go to any Nike school that he wants to. Anybody that's wearing a swoosh, he has a scholarship. So
swoosh.
If you got a swoosh, he can come there. Guess what, coach? We don't have a spot. You'll get a call from Phil Knight and say, make a spot. It's as simple as that. Look, Bronny James is obviously a good basketball player. Nobody's out here saying, oh, he's terrible. Obviously, he's good at basketball. Is he next level? Is he elite? Is he going to be a superstar? We have no idea. But at this moment, LeBron James is using his power as LeBron James, which should surprise absolutely no one because he helped friends of his in the NBA get big time contracts. Hello, Tristan Thompson. Hello, J.R. Smith. So anybody out here in their right mind think LeBron James ain't going to use his power to get his own flesh and blood a great situation to go play college basketball, you're fooling yourself. So I have no problem with it because rich and powerful people have been doing that for eons in this country. So I have no problem with it.
Here's the deal, though. LeBron runs the NBA. Okay, good or bad. You guys could take that and run with it how you want, but I'm not saying it's not deserved. I mean, as talented as the league is, it will not crumble when he leaves, but when his absence will be felt big time. Like It won't feel the same when he's gone. I love Kevin Durant, love Giannis, love the talent. The league's as deep as it's ever been, in my opinion. When he's gone, it's going to feel drastically different because they could even count on this older LeBron to still be the face of the league. But he is used to running everything and having complete power everywhere he goes. And when he has a lot of money rules. But you're dealing with Ohio State, who also has a lot of money. I don't know. There's going to be a certain pecking order with Ohio State athletics where you're not going to go in and bully them. I don't care if you are LeBron. And I'm not saying LeBron, and I'm painting LeBron in a bad light here, but let's just be clear at a certain point. Like if you're going to muscle your kid into a school, and again, this is disrespectful to the kid because the kid is good.
Yes.
He's good enough to play at Ohio State, but is he going to be LeBron good? No. So the point is okay, NIL money. You're right. LeBron fights for his dudes to get paid. If Ohio State is begging for money for NIL for football, it's not going to be a good look if LeBron is pressuring them into taking care of his kid from an NIL standpoint that they're like, you know what I mean? I feel like, and maybe I'm stirring this, maybe I'm making I feel like this could lead to a lot of weird problems that are really not necessary with, again, basketball not being the high priority there. Do you really want to create a huge circus? And maybe it won't be. I'm just worried it can be.
I don't think it'll be a situation with him wanting Ohio State to take care of Bronny financially on the NIL side because he's already taken care of. I mean, he has a Nike situation.
He's not like Shaq. Hey, we ain't rich. I'm rich.
Yes. He has a Nike situation. He has a Beats by Dre situation. He'll be perfectly fine on that. The thing is, LeBron can use his power to get him to whatever school that Bronny desires to go to with a swoosh on it. But at the end of the day, Bronny is the one out there on the court. Bronny is the one playing defense. Bronny is the one with the basketball in his hands. He's shooting the basketball. So if he's not good enough to get on the court, LeBron's power is not going to get him on the court because a coach is going to say, hey, sorry, he's not one of my best 5 guys. Sorry. And that's just no matter how powerful LeBron is, that's just the fact of the matter. There's been plenty of guys out here, maybe not as powerful as LeBron James, whose kids gone to schools who we never even heard of. I mean, you ever heard of this dude named Michael Jordan? His kid went to Illinois, barely even played. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You can be as big and bad, mofo, and flex your power to get your kid to in somewhere, which is fine. At the end of the day, they still got to take the test. And in Bronny's case, the test is getting on that court and proving yourself. Now, if Bronny get on the court and just transforms into a different monster, because I do watch a lot of AAU basketball, and there's some guys around town who play totally different than they do in AAU than what they do in their high school game. And I'm hoping that those players play like their AAU self when they get to college one day, because the AAU style of basketball that they play, I could see them making it, but the style of basketball that they play in high school, I don't see. So I've never seen Bronny play an AAU game. The only games I ever seen him play was the high school games, and those are 2 drastically different styles of basketball. So maybe Bronny is just like this hidden beast that we just don't know about because we haven't seen him on the AAU circuit nationally.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio. Can't wait to talk to Paul Bincardi about this later on in the week. But nonetheless, that'll be, well, I guess I just put it this way, Bronny. And so someone in here chimed in, Gordon on Facebook goes, he's going to Oregon. Let's say he comes out after the Sierra Canyon season that says he's going to Oregon. I think Chris Holtman's going to be like, yes, which is weird. I know. But again, it could be, by the way, it can go completely smooth and there'll be no hiccups at all. But it's one of those where if you're Chris Holtman already battling for your job as it is, or on the verge of your seat starting to become hot, you have expectations to win and make tournament runs. You don't have expectations to appease Bron. And that's where I would be concerned if you're a coach like Chris Holtman, who's on the verge of, you don't know what's about to happen.
Where's he going to go?
I think he stays on West Coast, but I don't know. LeBron's all about Ohio State. He's at every one of their big football games. He's always decked out in Ohio State stuff. He was rumored to, if he had to go to college back in the day, that it would have been Ohio State. So, nonetheless, I wonder what team would that have been. We'll look at that. Anyways, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz when we come back. I know where he isn't going. Right state. Okay. I should have just gone to break. I got to go to break. Go to break. Not going to get me today, Gordon. Not today, Satan.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be partly cloudy, a high near 40. Tonight's going to be cloudy with heavy snow after midnight, a low near 28. And tomorrow is going to be cloudy with a wintry mix, a high near 38. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Dayton area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to BetfredSports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher / customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
Save big money on your next project at Menards. American Standard offers high-quality plumbing fixtures that you can count on. From faucets and shower heads to toilets and more, American Standard has it all. Relax and unwind with a new Whirlpool from Elger. The 10-jack corner massage bathtub offers a spa-like feel. Plus, get a free inline heater with the purchase of any Elger Whirlpool after rebate. Good through February 5th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went. And guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Mark Patrick Seminars. Stop smoking without cravings, irritability, or weight gain. Only $49.99 guaranteed. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all, or your money back. Seminar 8 p.m. on Thursday, January 26th at the Holiday Inn Dayton Fairborn, I-675 in Fairborn. Or 2 p.m. on Saturday, January 28th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Dayton South, I-675 in Dayton. Registration 30 minutes before seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I know, Cincinnati fans, you want us to get back to the sports talk. Cincinnati, you've been waiting for it. We're going to talk Reds. I'm just joking.
Reds Caravan this weekend, by the way.
So we had lunch at Great American Ballpark yesterday. Phil Castellini, Bob Castellini, actually the owner of the Reds, addressed all the media and stuff, and they didn't say anything outlandish this time, but I'm like, at a certain point, I mean, when you're your own boss, I mean, who's good? I mean, I'm surprised they still talk. Stop letting them talk.
Did he talk to you again?
No, that was, I mean, that usually rattles me, but that day was still funny. That was pretty funny. No BS today, Kenner. That will always, just that tone and everything. I will always remember that day, but no BS. He said there's a lot of reasons he wanted to pull my credential, but none more than the number one reason being I've never seen the movie
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Shame on you.
I was like, that means I haven't said anything bad enough yet.
You've seen Major League though, right?
Oh, I love Major League.
Okay.
Love Major League.
Okay.
You know, let's bring on our guest. He's waited long enough. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Mr. Jason Fitz, how are you, sir?
So I'm going to give you a Field of Dreams story you didn't ask for.
There we go.
I think it was middle school. We had to write a paper in my English class about some character development in Field of Dreams. And I don't even remember the context of it. But instead, I wrote the whole paper on the idiocy of the fact that we were writing a paper about a movie that meant nothing instead of doing actual work, to which my parents were called in for a parent-teacher conference. And the teacher's like, look at this paper. And my mom reads it in the class, and like with my teacher in front of me. And my mom looks up, and my mom likes to use the F word a lot. So using some flowery language, my mom says, "What's your point? He's got a point. Why am I paying you to let him watch a movie in class that then you want him to write a paper about? You shouldn't be lazy." That's what I think of every time I think of Field of Dreams. So ever the contrarian. Like I'm not proud of it, but I'm sort of proud of it. I don't know.
No, so like when baseball does that Field of Dreams game every year, for one, I think it's one of the best new things that they've done in years. And it clicks, it works. I've never seen the movie. I don't care to see the movie, but I also don't care. I don't care for those who have watched it. Okay, more power to you. But yeah, people are just blown away. And Kev makes fun of me all the time. I'm just not a movie guy. I can't quote a lot of movies. So nonetheless, but yes, interesting.
I love movies. I just don't really understand sports movies. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like sports give me all the drama. So if I want a sport, I'll just watch the sport. If I want a movie, I'll watch a movie. Totally different categories.
But Coach Carter though will still go down as one of my all-time favorites because the movie always ends with them coming out on top, right? Like when they missed that bucket and they lost. I was like, I love this movie. I love that they went home miserable. I love it. That's realistic. That's how it's supposed to be. So
that might be a you problem, though. I'm just saying.
Misery loves company. I'm just saying. But ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here. Jason, before we get into the NFL playoffs, because that's what we all really want to talk about, but we just had a beat writer on from Columbus who covers the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team, and LeBron James' son, Bronny, had just announced his final 3 teams last week, with USC, Oregon, and Ohio State being one of them. And we're trying to get a vibe of, Ohio State, are they recruiting him very, very hard? Bronny James, is he worth all of the noise around? He has to be one of the most interesting recruits in college basketball history, trying to get a vibe for how people actually feel about this kid. I promise we'll get to the NFL playoffs, but your thoughts on how this Bronny James journey can go, because LeBron James had an interesting quote recently that said that Bronny James is good enough to play wherever he wants. All he has to do is pick up the phone. And I thought that quote was interesting because I couldn't tell if he was basically just telling us he could throw his weight around, right? Like your thoughts on how this could all go down.
Yeah, see, that's the part of it. Like, I don't agree with this assessment that Bronny's going to play anywhere, but I do agree with his assessment that he could pick up the phone. Like, there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, if we got to keep, I mean, let's be real. Like, I believe part of the reason LeBron is still working hard in meaningless games in the regular season to put up huge numbers is simply so he can remind everybody that he is LeBron, which means he's worth whatever it's going to take to put he and his son together on a team. I do not believe that the draft status that we talk about all the time for Bronny would even be a conversation that's in the same category if it wasn't for the fact that people would also want LeBron. Like, it's a great story. Like, is he going to win a championship? No. Like, I think this is an inflated value of a kid of an NBA legend. And, that's, I get it. I understand why he wants to do it. And good for him on being a proud dad. But no, I think this is being wildly overhyped. Like, Bronny is no Bron.
All right, on to the NFL playoffs. I'm glad you chimed in on that, though, because we were kind of taken back. Even the writer said, hey, this kid's not as good as what people are making him out to be. That wasn't a shot at the kid personally, but it was just kind of interesting. We were kind of taken back by it. But what we weren't taken away from, of course, the NFL playoffs. I mean, you look at this Niners and Eagles matchup and this Bengals and Chiefs rematch in the AFC title game. It's interesting. 3 of the 4 teams, all with quarterbacks on rookie contract deals and these stacked loaded rosters. We are in for a treat with these two championship games out of the NFC and AFC. Did the divisional round go as you kind of, mapped it out in your eyes?
Well, the Bengals certainly did. I mean, you guys know I'm a dabbler, not a degenerate. And I quite proudly went in. And when I saw the plus 215 on the money line for the Bengals, I open up the account, no freebies on which account it is. I open up the account and I put everything on it. Like, literally, I've never done that before. Wow. It was the casino equivalent of putting it all on black on a roulette wheel. I put every single dollar on the Bengals to win that game outright. I was that confident in it, and I'm inherently cheap. So I thought that game went exactly as I expected. It gets way more complicated this round, though, because some of the things that the Buffalo Bills have not done particularly well, the Chiefs can do well. So I think this is a much tougher game to predict. But, yeah, I think, honestly, we got mostly predictable outcomes. I said it on ESPN this week. I know it's not a popular opinion, but, like, we keep talking about the Cowboys. The Cowboys were the 5 seed. So the 5 seed went on the road to the 2 seed in San Francisco. They played a team that's better than they are with a coaching staff that I think is better than they have, and they lost a close football game. Like, I don't mean to oversimplify the soap opera, but I think the one game we made a big deal about that just shouldn't have been was the Cowboys doing exactly what I would expect them to do.
So going back to the Bengals and Bills game, what do the Buffalo Bills need to do or retool about their offense for next season? Because I don't think this just drop back with Josh Allen, him throw it all over the place, or him turn into Superman and try to tank people is going to work for them anymore.
No, you're right. And by the way, I'll give Harry Douglas a lot of credit. It was probably mid-November. Harry was blowing me up saying, I'm telling you, the fact that the Bills are not committing right now to figuring out how to run the football is going to bite them in the butt. And it did. I mean, there's this moment here where it's not just about having the personnel to do it. It's about during the middle of the season, are you doing anything to really establish that as something you're capable of pulling off? Doesn't have to be your total identity, but you got to be able to go to it. And they simply couldn't offensively. So, Josh Allen had a bad day, and you factor that in with the fact that they couldn't run the football. They didn't have another option. I mean, Gabe Davis, I know we make him a big story in the playoffs, but I don't think Gabe Davis is really a particularly epic player, right? So, if you're the Bills, you're looking at it saying it's combination. You got to get more physical at the point of attack on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and you've got to figure out how to all year round be more disciplined in your play calling so that when you need to run the football, you can. Like, we just pretend that a team can wake up this week and be like, now we're going to run the football effectively. They proved that that's not the case at all.
I can't take this a take from my brother because he's the one that brought it up to me. He says Josh Allen reminds him of prime Cam Newton, and we saw how Cam Newton's career ended, banged up and hobbled.
Wow. Okay, I will say this. If you look at the injuries in Lamar Jackson's career, and we always talk about Lamar's problems with injuries, he's been hit in the pocket. That's where Lamar's gotten hurt every time. I think Josh Allen is a reckless runner with the football. He puts his body at risk all the time. And because of his size and his athleticism and all those other things, he can. But I don't disagree. I mean, I hadn't really thought of the Cam comp. I said this week that I genuinely believe with Burrow and Mahomes, we're seeing the new version of Brady and Manning, and that's going to be exciting for generations. If that's the case, I think Josh Allen's a little like Big Ben. Like, it's one of those things where he's a bigger guy that can do a lot, but also needs a lot around him. I mean, I don't think it's a perfect scenario. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Josh Allen. I think he's a really good player. And boy, like if he was the quarterback of my beloved Raiders, I would think that, his what didn't stink. But realistically, if you look at Mahomes and Burrow, and I do in a different category, he's a little bit below them at this point. So they're going to have to figure out how to increase his efficiency. They're going to have to figure out how to get him to stop pushing the football. And he's going to have to learn to protect himself at some point because nobody can do that for him.
As far as weapons for the Bills, I know we talked about the run game. Their defense was banged up, but we're not really. The defense being banged up look, we saw the deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball. They could have had Von Miller. They could have had that entire defense stacked up. It wouldn't have changed the fact that offensively they looked out of sync. And I got to give a lot of credit to the Bengals defense. I know we talk a lot about Burrow in that offense, but I don't think the Bengals are anywhere close to where they are without that defense. But I got to ask you about Stephon Diggs real quick, Jason. He tweeted out after, of course, a lot of criticism went his way for his outburst on the sideline. I'm one of those that, like, I understand that we are conditioned to, basically scold athletes who look like they're showing up their teammates or have a bad attitude on the sideline. But I'm surprised we don't see this more with these uber competitive athletes. Stephon Diggs, after that outburst, says, "You want me to be okay with their level of play when it's not up to the standard? Nah. Want me to be okay with losing? Nah." So I'm curious, when you read that tweet, hear his response. I agree with them 100%, but it's been interesting. People just kind of throwing him under the bus for that. And I'm like, maybe it's because he shouldn't have been so public with it, but he's not wrong. It's better than teams who lose and they just kind of go silent for a while. And you're trying to get a vibe like, is there any urgency there whatsoever? Stephon Diggs feels that urgency. I think the Bills do too. It's going to be an interesting offseason.
Yeah, I love his passion there. And I know people are going to roll their eyes at it, but here's the thing. None of it's in a vacuum. Like, so if you're one of those players that we see do this all the time and it's just obnoxious and your teammates are rolling their eyes and the body language from everybody else is get away from me, stop doing this, then I think you can look at it and say, okay, is this guy too over the top? That wasn't the case. Like, Josh Allen didn't seem to have any issue with it. And I think you know it, at the end of the day, you know who your teammate is, just like you guys know each other working together every day. So, like, there's going to be some point where a guy sort of loses it because of his competitive spirit and his competitive fire. So I look at that and say, hey, if his teammates aren't giving me the example in their body language of, like, stop, which we've seen in so many of these cases before, if that's not the case, then that tells me that where he's coming from isn't a problem, and it speaks to his strength. Like, I love Diggs caring that much, and I think that at the end of the day, that's part of the standard is the standard, and Josh Allen didn't play well enough to the standard. And guess what? Josh Allen sitting on the sideline took that tongue lashing and never once, like, clapped back and never once had a up yours return moment. To me, that speaks to the relationship and the trust that they have with each other. So, I wouldn't want to dim that at all if I'm the Bills. I want more guys to feel that fiery in that moment, because that's why they brought Von Miller in. I know hurt, obviously Von couldn't do anything for him, but the whole argument was that organization doesn't know how to win the exact type of games that they've been in with the playoffs that they just lost. So I love that fire. I don't want to do anything to dim it.
Speaking of clap back, what did you think about Tom Brady clapping back at the great Jim Gray?
You know what? I respect the honesty on it, though. Like the weird thing, and look, it was a tuck. It was a fumble. There's no such thing as a tuck. So I got no love lost. But now that I've said that, I think the one thing we got to remember is, like, put the human hat on him. Like, he just went through a divorce, and now he's suddenly home for the first time. And anybody that's ever gone through any sort of a life change or a breakup or any of that, like, the worst thing about coming home is the silence of it, right? Like, so you got Brady coming home after a season that didn't go the way he wanted to go. Now he can't have work to distract him. He can't sit there and, like, just say, well, I can't deal with this right now. He's got nothing to deal with, but what am I doing with my kids? How am I getting my life organized? Where am I going to spend my time? Like, it's just a lot on his plate. So I thought his response was real. Like, I'd take that over Aaron Rodgers making things wildly complicated for no reason on the Pat McAfee show today. Like, I respect Brady coming out and basically saying, I don't have a clue. If I had a clue, I'd tell you, just stop asking me. Like, I think right now, given the life situation he's going through, that was a really honest moment. We don't get a lot of those from Brady.
On his own podcast, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, though. Like, don't act like you're surprised you got asked on your show. Like, what are we doing? I mean,
no pre-show meeting.
He wasn't going to ask?
I mean, by the way, this man crush that Fitz seems to have for Tom Brady on this side, I wonder why that could be. It's almost as if the team you follow is one of the rumored potential landing spots.
I don't want him. I don't want him.
Whoa!
I don't want him.
Who you want then?
All right, where should the Raiders go? I am curious about C.J. Stroud. What's the future for the Raiders, in your opinion, that you would like to see them go? Because it seems like it's going to be drastically different.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is they're going to sign Jimmy G, and then they're going to draft a quarterback. I hope that quarterback's not Anthony Richardson. No offense to the young man. I absolutely hope he proves the world wrong, but I don't think Anthony Richardson was ready to come out. I wish he'd stayed another year. I don't particularly love some of the decision-making of Will Levis, which is a really nice way of saying, how the hell do you throw into triple coverage against Vandy and Missouri multiple times and lose football games? I don't understand that portion of it. I think we've made up narratives about Bryce Young because he's a frail body, but last time I checked, he got hit in the SEC and he did just fine. And I just can't believe that people are still trying to find reasons to doubt C.J. Stroud. Like, I don't care about prior quarterbacks at Ohio State. Like, that has nothing to do with anything. Let's judge this young man by his body of work. So, I think realistically, the biggest knock I heard from any scout at the end of the season was that C.J. Stroud wasn't willing to use his legs. And, I talked to somebody that knows his trainers well. They knew that. And what did he do in the Peach Bowl? In the semifinal game, the Peach Bowl, yeah. He went in and he absolutely used his legs. So if I'm taking a chance on any of these guys, like if you tell me that the Raiders come out of the draft with Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, then I look at it and say, okay, I understand what the franchise is doing. It's still a roll of the dice, but I understand this roll of the dice. If they come out with Will Levis, I'm saying, okay. If they come out with Anthony Richardson, I swear to you, on the broadcast, live on the digital broadcast, I'm going to pull out a bottle of Tito's and I'm just going to see where things go. Like, that's just all I can do.
My thing about Will Levis is he couldn't beat out Sean Clifford at Penn State. That's why he had to transfer to Kentucky, and then he plays a good season as Kentucky, and then automatically he's like a top 10 pick. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and look, I think the hard part, and I was talking to one buddy that covers the draft a lot last week, and he said when they get to the combine and everybody sees him throw, which is the Zach Wilson all over again, but then also sees him run, he's so much faster than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he's got that sort of swagger. Everybody's going to fall in love with the measurables. But again, I think we overcomplicate all this. Like, I genuinely think if you go back and you ask whoever you guys think are the best college football minds that you talk to all the time, if you go back year by year, how often are those college football minds really wrong about quarterbacks? Because they watch every play. They see it every week, right? So Zach Wilson, everybody I knew that covered college football was like, what the hell are you doing? Trey Lance even. And people I knew that covered college football was like, I see why they're doing it, but based on what? Justin Fields, people are looking at it saying, how do you not take a shot on that kid? Like, I think some of this was like I was doing a draft show when Patrick Mahomes was falling in the draft, and everybody around me was sitting there saying, do they not watch these games? Even Deshaun Watson, for reasons, outside of the other stuff. When Deshaun Watson wasn't immediately taken, it was like, did they not watch college football? Like, sometimes I just feel like we get caught up in these narratives by a bunch of NFL people that don't watch college football, and then all of a sudden they're trying to catch up on all 22 tape of 6 games and make a decision from that. So it's amazing how wrong people are all the time, because I think if you watch college football every day, it'd make your draft life a lot easier.
Jason, before we let you go, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, one half of Fitz and Harry, weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio, and of course ESPN Radio across the board. The Denver Broncos, that head coaching start. I mean, are we going to see? What's the chances that whoever takes over this job, that all of a sudden Russell Wilson's going to be resurrected and all of a sudden return back to stardom? Was this just an off year? My only concern with that is I don't know many star quarterbacks that just have an off year for no reason other than just regression. And then come back and return to their old MVP level form. The Broncos are in trouble, right? No matter who the coach is. Can you imagine, though? I will say this: you put Dan Quinn or someone like that, defensive-minded head coach with that defense, that could be the play. But I know that they're seeming to be wanting to go find someone that's going to be able to turn Russell Wilson around. I know you're not pulling for that, being a Raiders fan, but I am curious your thoughts on just what the realistic expectation is for Denver at this point, who doesn't seem to have a whole lot of options.
I think a guy like Quinn makes sense for him simply because now you have to manage Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's not going to be great, so now you just got to manage him. How do you win football games with him? And it's got to be a personality that's empowered enough and loud enough to be able to look at Russell Wilson and say no, right? Like, that's what we've learned from his time at Seattle happened a lot. Like, people had to say no. So I think there's a real moment here of the Broncos are going to have to find somebody that can make that defense, which has a lot of playmakers on it, great enough that they can turn around and say, okay, we can get through this thing. But realistically, if the goal is to compete with the Chargers and the Chiefs for the next 3-4 years, I don't think that there's a coach in the world that can do that with Russell Wilson as their quarterback. So you've got to go somewhere. They're going to have to give somebody a very long contract, because that person realizes that they'll be judged by something that could take 3 years to get out of, right? So this feels to me like a San Francisco situation all over. You're going to need coaching. You're going to need a coach to come in on a 6-year deal, and you're going to have to hope that person can make everything else right around them, and they can figure out Russ over the next 2 years. So they're done because of that contract and because of that quarterback situation.
Fitz, NFC Championship game, who wins?
San Francisco. I think we end up with San Francisco, Cincinnati as the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's going to go to the dang Super Bowl. So the next time somebody asks you, can you win a Super Bowl with Dak? My answer to that is, can you win a Super Bowl with Brock? I mean, let's just calm it all down. Calm it all down. Brock Purdy's going to the Super Bowl.
There it is.
Last thing on the way out, Jason, where are you with this narrative of how you push it? Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they win on Sunday. You already have them in the Super Bowl, and I think that would be one heck of, well, for one, I already have a couple dollars wagered on the Bengals-Niners Super Bowl matchup. It'd be a nice little payout, so I would be lying if there wasn't a small part of me hoping that the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes again. Where are you with the topic of Joe Burrow surpassing Mahomes as the best quarterback in the National Football League, especially if he goes on to win the Super Bowl?
It's done. If he wins the Super Bowl, it's done. If you told me right now today, even before this game, if I had to pick one quarterback to start my franchise with, it would be Joe Burrow today, because I know Joe Burrow. I know the way he plays the football game. I know what he's going to be able to take when it comes to physical abuse. And I know that he's not going to put his body at as much risk in that process. I mean, he's going to take those hits, but he's not going to put himself out there the way Mahomes does, running around. So I don't need a quarterback that can make plays off schedule as much as Mahomes if I've got the smartest quarterback football IQ-wise in the room. And I think at this point, Joe Burrow has proven that he can get this team in the right play, in the right situation, every stinking time, and make every stinking throw. I think right now Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Is that your Raiders fan showing? Is that your Raiders fandom showing?
It'd be easier the opposite way. Like, that's what I tell everybody all the time. If I can look at you and say, what do you expect? Like, Mahomes is the best in the NFL. I can't beat Mahomes. Like, come on. How can we be expected to take on Mahomes? Right now, man, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm asking myself, what are we doing with Lamar? Because you're about to take on Joe Burrow for the next 15 years, right? So you better have an idea. Like, you better believe that Lamar can compete with Joe Burrow. And if he can't, then you move on, because like you're taking him on for the next 15 years, and he is him. As the kids say.
Good stuff, Jason. Always look forward to this every week. Appreciate you, my man. Catch Jason Fitz and Harry weekdays from noon to 3 at 1410 ESPN Radio. Of course, ESPN Radio across the board. Jason, thanks so much. We appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all. Have a great week.
Later.
All right, good stuff. I beat him to the punch, by the way. I got the drop button rolling.
You should have saw your face.
Man. So Jason Fitz just said, if Joe Burrow and the Bengals win on Sunday, especially if he goes on to win the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, they got to win it, though. They got to win it.
They
have to win it. If he don't win it, then no. But they got to obviously win Sunday and then win the Super Bowl. Then we can have that discussion.
Man, Hurts jersey or Purdy jersey? I got to get on that. I got to get one order. I got 2 weeks to come in. All right, folks, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms while supplies last. Points expired end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep. We have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
O'Reilly
Don't risk getting stranded with a bad battery. Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery does need to be replaced, we'll help you find the best battery for your vehicle and your budget. Don't wait until your battery is dead. Get it tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, we'll use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed. And a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Dayton area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done. I'm done.
nothing to Patrick Mahomes. But that's not how this works, although I would love it to because that would help my narrative. But it's not how it works. Your thoughts on Stephen A's takeaway of the narrative that would shift